If he sees a bunch of girls in a group, it definitely gets into that group.
It really depends on the factor of why you are trying to be in a conversation with somebody. And I don't know if in this case, on a serious note, is it only with women or are you also talking about any group? And that's when you find your tribe or find your vibe. Okay, so before you ask another question, don't log this timesheets. You'll still have to go finish your work. And if it goes beyond an hour, this is already, I think, 20 minutes. We have to start charging you for that, for the counseling advice. Okay.
Let's say if I'm going to a meetup, there might be a group of people discussing something. How to get into those groups? Like, for suppose if we talk in our team, we have Kumar, who is very good at that.
Good at what?
If we go into a restaurant or a partying place, if he sees a bunch of girls in a group, he definitely gets into that group and he converses in such a way that that group owns him. He takes his contacts, they'll be keeping in touch with him, and whenever they are trying to or organize a party, he's a much awaited guest where people will be waiting for him or to have the conversation again or to continue the conversation.
I smell a lot of fire here. I don't know what you got with Kumar, but I think the question is how do you get into a conversation with newer set of people who you are probably meeting for the first time ever? It really depends on the factor of why you are trying to be in a conversation with somebody, whether it's an individual or a group. Is this a very specific, event specific takeaway that you want to have? Is this a long-term networking relationship that you want to create? Is that a potential job that you want to secure and you found somebody at the next company and you want to create and nurture that relationship? How do I start? If it's a professional setup, I think it is very easy. It's always best that you start with an introduction. It's possible to rehearse that introduction. A lot of people think introduction is easy, but the moment you start speaking, we kind of stutter saying, "Okay, my name is Rupesh, my name is Roshan, and I work at so and so." And then okay, what else do I speak now? By then, you're already trying to look at the reaction of the other person. Are they listening to you? Are they not listening to you? Maybe they're looking somewhere else and this starts happening. But when you are giving the introduction, I think you have to go all in and say whatever you want to say about yourself in that setup, which makes sense. Again, not about your girlfriends. And I don't know if in this case, on a serious note, is it only with women or are you also talking about any group?
It's any group.
Okay. If you say any group, I think if you start creating different intros for different setups, then it's not original you. Then it's not real introduction about you. It can be flavors of you which you are deciding to speak at. Like I said, you probably give a different introduction at a party that you meet somebody versus a Salesforce meetup that you meet somebody. So it should still be about you, but you're choosing which attributes are being spoken about in your introduction. But if you can entirely change them just to suit or just to be accepted by everybody, then I think you'll lose your own identity. This is an open fact. See what flavors are applicable in that setup, whether it's a evening party, you meet somebody at travel, you meet somebody, and stick to that. If you think the other person is not showing interest or the other group is not showing enough interest, fine, move on to the next group. You don't have to be friends or be in conversation with every group or every person that you meet. And just because a group or two groups has not accepted you, doesn't mean your intro is not good. I would say start with that. So you asked me, how do I even start? I would start with a perfect intro and the kind of attributes included, which are meaningful. So if it's a meetup and I go, I'll talk about what kind of work, where have I worked, what are the kind of role that I'm looking forward to, and see. If I were you, I would have a proper intro prepared in my head and say, hey, I know if I go to a Salesforce meetup, what are the things that would interest somebody to have a conversation with me? It could be if somebody is working at Salesforce, that itself becomes a part of their intro because the moment you say, hey, I work at Microsoft or a Google or a Salesforce, there's a higher probability that they want to know a little bit more about you. So when you do that introduction, along with the basic intro, you also can ask a question in the intro. Intro can also be done by, I see you are a speaker there, I have a question for you, or because most commonly, even if they're not interested, when you give an intro, the most natural step is they say hello and they probably repeat the same things to you. So if you say, I'm Rupesh, I work at Altalk, most natural introduction I will give you is, my name is Roshan and I work at XYZ company. And then you can always go deeper into, oh, you work there, nice. It's a good firm. If you know that firm, again, don't have to act. Only if you think that introduction of the other person interests you, you get in. Otherwise, why would you even want to get into the conversation with somebody random? If there's nothing of interest, if there's nothing in common, subject, role, company, which interests you, you don't have to. If somebody is trying to get into every group that you meet, whether it's professional setup or personal setup, you'll always be lost. You don't have to be always accepted by every group. And that's when you find your tribe or find your vibe. Because people who would be in similar frequency, you'll connect and it'll become a very natural relationship for you continue longer periods. Again, see, this is a lot of societal validation and things like that. So let me not get philosophical here, but whatever you think is the best introduction that you can give about yourself, which you want that group to know, give that. If they still don't show interest in having a conversation with you, let that be.
Okay.
So now you know how to get into group conversation within the team and how to get into group conversations outside the team as well. Was that the entirety of this conversation that you wanted to have with me, or is there anything else?
Yeah, I have another question. I'm focusing on too many things and I feel it's not taking me anywhere.
So that sounds like you're trying to pitch a relationship to 5 ladies and nobody's accepting the offer.